Hi, I'm Jody Adams and welcome to the Rialto kitchen. Today I'm going to make penne pasta, whole grain penne pasta with Fontina Parmesan cheese and autumn vegetables. And it's wonderful, easy, good for you, and delicious. Has a little butter in it, just 4 small tablespoons. Let that melt. And I'm doing this in a cast iron pan because I want to build the dish in one pan that can then go under the broiler. So once the butter is melted, I'll add the butternut squash in about a 1/2 inch dice. That's 2 cups. Some red onions. And some smashed garlic. This is a dish that is inspired by a pasta dish from Lombardy called Pizzocheri, and it's made with lots of whole smashed garlic. Buckwheat noodles in the case of the Pizzocheri, and these cheeses and a lot more butter. I cut back on the butter and added the butternut squash instead. So, nice big pieces of garlic. And you want to season that with salt and pepper. Always season as you cook each layer. And in order to get these vegetables to become tender without darkening too quickly, since this is made with butter, I'm going to put a piece of parchment on top that I've measured and just let that, we call it sweating. It's really just to bring out the moisture of the vegetables, steam it a little bit, but it's not a sealed system so that it won't steam completely. It actually will color and brown and get that wonderful nutty flavor from the caramelization. We call it umami. Okay, so the squash is just about tender. Needs another minute, and I'm going to add the sage. It's about a tablespoon of sage leaves. So chopped sage leaves and 4 cups of, I have a mixture of spinach and pea tendrils, but you could use any tender green. You could use arugula, Swiss chard, julienne, something like that, that would sort of melt in with the rest of the vegetables. And if you don't like sage, add thyme, add parsley. Little rosemary would be nice. And this will just kind of melt into the rest of the vegetables. Don't want to cook it too long. I like the freshness of the spinach. I'm going to put my little parchment back on. And while that's sweating, get the pasta started. And as you all know, probably you want your pasta water to taste like the sea. You want to use enough salt so that will actually season the pasta. And this is a beautiful whole grain penne. They've done a great job of actually making whole grain pastas that taste good and have a great texture, and of course good for you. It adds a nutty flavor. And then I have these sliced red bliss potatoes, and they'll cook at about the same time. The potatoes might soften up a little bit and break down, but that's okay because it will help to make a nice sauce for the pasta. So the pasta will take about 10 minutes to cook once it comes to a boil, and I'll let that go and turn the heat off of the vegetables. The spinach is wilted. We don't want it to cook much beyond that, and just let it wait for the pasta. So the pasta's done. I'm going to scoop out some pasta water. It has some starch in it from the pasta, and it's going to be really helpful in making the sauce. And then do the easiest thing. You could drain the pasta, but I've got this beautiful spider, and I'm just going to scoop it and put it right in with the vegetables. I think this feels like the super version of comfort food. I served it to a friend recently, and he said, this just makes me happy. It's just happy. So a little bit of nutmeg. Not too much. not too much. About 2/3 of the Parmesan cheese, which is, I'd say, about 4 ounces. And then the diced Fontina. And then we just stir this up. And you'll see that it will really benefit from some pasta water. In fact, I might just put all of it in. And now what I'm going to do is put the rest of the Parmesan cheese on, sprinkle it over the top. And then the breadcrumbs. So I have about a whole cup of breadcrumbs here. And I like a lot of black pepper. Now I take the pan, I'm going to put it on the top shelf of the oven under the broiler. It's going to take about 5 minutes for the breadcrumbs to get nice and toasty. So it's a perfect one-dish meal in a cast iron pan that can go straight to the table. Whole grain penne pasta with Fontina cheese, Parmesan, and autumn vegetables, inspired by the dish from Lombardy, Pizzocheri.